Well, from the age of 5, my next guest has always had a love of harness racing, but that love of harness racing has been divided in two. I caught up with Bryse McElhinney to discuss those early stages of his career up to the present. Well, Bryse, as I mentioned, you started harness racing at the age of 5 in the mini trotters.
Yeah, Mick, nearly as soon as I turned 5, I asked my parents straight away for a pony, and sure enough, they delivered, and yeah, never looked back ever since.
How many years did you spend with the mini trotters, Bryse?
Yeah, Mick, I did the mini trots up to the age of 16, so that was the time to move on to progressing into the big ones.
And Bryse, you would know better than most the success rate or the conversion rate of young kids in the mini trotters, young boys and girls coming out of that particular system and into the big time, because you're now calling them mini trotters.
Once I took the step into the big ones, and I also said to Fred Hastings as a joke that I'd like to have a crack at calling, and he brought me up one day and I called the mini trots, and it took off from there, and soon after I was doing the trials as well.
And Bryse, that's where your love of harness racing is divided down the middle, whether you wanted to pursue a career in broadcasting or join the professional ranks.
Yeah, that's right, Mick. In this game there's always something good to fall back on, whether it be a farrier service or dentistry. But the calling's really taken off for me, and it's something I like to enjoy to do every week in and week out, and hopefully it can take off in the future.
Despite the fact that it has been many trotters, Fred Hastings has been there all the way and has been a very influential guidance on your early career.
Yeah, most definitely. Fred's been really good to me ever since I started, and there's been a few callers along the way help me out as well, but Freddie's definitely been the one stand out to help me along the way.
It is a tough career these days to break into.
Yeah, it definitely is, especially with what's going on in the world right now. It's harder for the race callers to probably look into getting a job there, but hopefully once things clear up, it could take it a step further and get into it.
Bryse, on the subject of influential people, of course, your uncle is Glenn McElhinney, and no doubt he's been a big influence.
Yeah, definitely. Macca, he's been a big influence in my life since a little boy. I've always idolised him growing up, watching every single race he was in, and wanting to go to the races and learn more off him, and still now at the age of 21, still definitely look up to him as one of my mentors.
Bryse, you have had the chance to call a miracle mile as far as the mini trot is concerned on the big stage here at Menangle. That must have been a big thrill.
Yeah, most definitely. Those big crowds, they really give us race callers a big lift when the roar of the crowd comes, when the ponies or the horses come up the straight, and they aid you to call a little bit better on those big days, but it's definitely a big thrill.
Bryse, you're only in the early stages of your career, but you've already had the chance to work with Paul Fitzpatrick, of course a legend, Ashley Grives, and now you've had the last 2 years with Blake.
My first harness racing stint with a trainer was with Paul Fitzpatrick. I was there for 12 months and learnt a lot off Paul himself and his son Gavin, and I'm very thankful for what they did for me. And when the time was right, I progressed to Ash Grives here at Menangle when she was based up here, and I was there for 10 months and learned a fair bit off her, the way trainers train differently, and now I've been at Blake for nearly 2 years.
Bryse, you must be in a very select group in the fact that, if not the only member of this group, that you drove your first Menangle winner. You had already 2 previous winners, but you drove your first Menangle winner, then lost it in the stewards room.
That day it was a good day leading in when I passed the post, but unfortunately I lost it in the room. But we move on from those things. That happens to everyone, and it's just a mistake, and we look past it and move on to the future.
About 5 or 6 weeks ago, at least you had the thrill of winning another race at Menangle, this time keeping it.
Yeah, most definitely. Blake, I was fortunate enough, Blake put me on a nice mare, Adele, and she, quality mare in her own right. I was able to just sit on her and steer her in the right direction. The rest was history.
The opportunity to drive such good trotters from a trainer who's certainly an astute mentor in that regard must be a great thrill.
Most definitely. The trotters we have right now, they're quite quality trotters, and they're coming through quite good, and just sitting on them in track work, even so if I don't drive them race day, it's still a big thrill to drive such quality trotters.
Bryse, if there's one thing the McElhinney clan love, apart from harness racing, is the red and green of the South Sydney Rabbitohs, but as a 4-year-old, you broke your father's heart.
Yeah, most definitely. Our family, we're pretty passionate about the rugby league too. We're pretty spread out in what teams we support, but unfortunately for Dad, he's a Parramatta fan, and at the age of 4 he had me geared up in all the Parra gear, and I turned to him and said, I'm going to follow Uncle Glenn and follow the South Sydney Rabbitohs, and I'm pretty sure that broke his heart that day.
And the skull cap with the South Sydney colours and the shirt underneath your silks?
Yeah, definitely got a keep the red and green as they're one of my main colours, so just keep following on in the rugby league to the trots as well, and red and green I've stuck through since the mini trot days too.
Now, Bryce, if you had the choice, race calling or training and driving, which one would it be?
At this stage of my career, I'm enjoying the driving, but I'd probably have to go the race calling. It's just probably a better aspect for someone like myself.
We'll keep getting advice of Freddie Hastings. Even though he's an Eastern Suburbs supporter, I'm sure he'll give a South Sydney Rabbitoh fan a chance, but you may have to wait a bit longer.
Yeah, definitely. Freddie does try and keep that door upstairs locked so I can't get in, but he's always there to help me out when needed.
Bryce, good to catch up with you.
Thanks, Mick. Thank you.